some very sad news for all of you, and I think sad news for all of our fellow citizens and people who love peace all over the world. And that is that Martin Luther King was shot and was killed tonight in Memphis, Tennessee. Martin Luther King dedicated his life to love and to justice between fellow human beings. He died in the cause of that effort. In this difficult day, in this difficult time for the United States, it's perhaps well to ask what kind of a nation we are and what direction we want to move in. For those of you who are black, considering the evidence evidently is that there were white people who were responsible, you can be filled with bitterness and with hatred and a desire for revenge. We can move in that direction as a country, in greater polarization, black people amongst blacks and white amongst whites, filled with hatred toward one another. Or we can make an effort, as Martin Luther King did, to understand and to comprehend and replace that violence, that stain of bloodshed that is spread across our land, with an effort to understand, compassion, and love. For those of you who are black and are tempted to be filled with hatred and mistrust of the injustice of such an act against all white people, I would only say that I can also feel in my own heart the same kind of feeling. I had a member of my family killed, but he was killed by a white man. But we have to make an effort in the United States. We have to make an effort to understand, to get beyond or go beyond these rather difficult times. My favorite poem, my favorite poet was Aeschylus. He once wrote, "Even in our sleep, pain which cannot forget falls drop by drop upon the heart, until in our own despair, against our will, comes wisdom through the awful grace of God." What we need in the United States is not division. What we need in the United States is not hatred. What we need in the United States is not violence and lawlessness, but is love and wisdom and compassion toward one another, and a feeling of justice toward those who still suffer within our country, whether they be white or whether they be black. We can do well in this country. We will have difficult times. We've had difficult times in the past, but we will have difficult times in the future. It is not the end of violence. It is not the end of lawlessness, and it's not the end of disorder. But the vast majority of white people and the vast majority of black people in this country want to improve the quality of our life and want justice for all human beings that abide in our land, and dedicate ourselves to what the Greeks wrote so many years ago, to tame the savageness of man and make gentle the life of this world. Let us dedicate ourselves to that.
This is actually my first protest. I was born and raised here in St. Augustine, Florida. So I'm from here. But what I see going on abroad is a tragedy. Just to know that you can have the color of my skin and you can walk out your door to go to work and you might not even come home.
That ain't right.
No, I will not tell you that I've known police brutality to this magnitude here. But what I do tell you is that I don't just look at my life as, I want to just be here. I want to go places. I want to see the rest of the nation. But if I choose to go to see the rest of the nation, should I have to worry about making it back home because of the color of my skin?
That ain't right.
I have a child. You have children. And all we want is for our children to grow up and live what we were told, lied to, was the American dream. This is not an American dream. I have to wake up wondering if I open my mouth, how long would I have left on this earth? Well, so be it. I am sick and tired of being sick and tired. I am sick and tired of turning on social media and every time I look at it, excuse my French, but a cop is beating somebody's ass. We want you to do your job and protect and to serve. We want to trust you. Hear me. We want to trust you. But how can we trust you if you don't give us nothing to trust? We want our kids to grow up together. We want our kids to hang out together. We want our kids to be able to shake each other's hand, give each other fist pumps, go on the same job, go to the same colleges. But how is that going to happen if we can't trust you?
God is made of all nations one blood for us to dwell on this earth together. Martin Luther King said we'll either live together in harmony or die together as fools. And look at somebody and say, we will live together in harmony.
We will live together in harmony.
This spirit of racism will come down.
The spirit of racism will come down.
The last words, and I'm only going to be up here a few seconds more, the last words spoken by, I believe it was Eric Garner, as well as Mr. Floyd, is, I can't breathe. And we know that it takes, if you cut off somebody's circulation or their breath for a few seconds, they will ultimately die. What we are saying as African Americans is that we can't breathe under this racist system. We can't breathe when you got your foot on our neck on every level of systemic racism. We need you to join together with us and join together with God to take your foot off of our neck, so to say. Isn't that right? We need you to take your foot off of our neck. Now, I do thank God for Police Chief Barry Fox. Because I do, when he's around, feel protected. I do, when Barry Fox is around. We want that culture to spread. There's Barry Fox. We want that culture, to spread throughout St. Augustine, because sometimes when you're not around, we don't feel as safe. But when you're around, we feel safe. But we want you guys to take your foot off of our neck when it comes to economically speaking and stuff, and allow our children to have, allow there to be equity in hiring. We want you to take your foot off of our necks in police brutality, and we need Chief Fox Barry to, Fox to speak out to those other police chiefs where they have created a culture that black and brown bodies do not care. We need you to take your foot off of us, not only economically, educationally. We need you to take your foot off of our necks financially, because we can't breathe under this system. So if I were to use the last words that Eric Garner and George Floyd said, we can't breathe. I got a grandson that I'm concerned about, that if he walks the street, I got to plead the blood of Jesus all day and night. We cannot breathe, and something can be done so that we can catch our breath. It is suffocating people of color for us to have to worry about our lives in this manner. I am hopeful because I know that God is going to use the good people like you and I to make a difference. We're going to make a difference at the polls. We're going to make a difference on, So lastly, I want to pray, but I want to thank God that I'm hopeful. I've seen it from us coming from chattel slavery to electing a African-American president. And although that system, because because America was born to be a white racist nation, a Christian but white racist. And so we've been fighting back and forth, getting the backlashes, but we know that God will always win in the end. Truth will always win in the end. Righteousness will always end. A lie can never last forever. So with that, we thank God for you. Let's keep the fight going. Let's be encouraged to know that God is with us, and who can be against us.
How many of you are glad to be alive? Come on, and let's give God praise for waking us up this morning. Glory to God. Hallelujah. I am a firm believer that we are not here by happenstance. I know that this is a time and a season that the people of God, all colors, all creeds, will come together for one cause. And the cause is for unity. We may be fighting a spirit called racism, but unity, because it is backed by love, will always surpass division. And this march today is the beginning of a people coming together with one mindset to talk to their elected officials and tell them, we voted you in and we can vote you out. And we are fighting a war that we can win because God has given us the tools. The tools are your voting rights. That's right. You have voting rights. The tools are your money. You have money power. If you don't believe in something, keep your money in your pocket. That's right. But if you believe in something, sow your money in a cause that you believe in. Tell people it is important to vote. Because when you vote who you want to represent you. No matter what. Racism has to do with more than your color. So when we remove all of the things that we're naturally looking at and ask God for divine directions on how to target what it is that we're going after, and it is the spirit of peace that Jesus died and bled that each one of us could have. You ought to give God praise that we will be a city that represents this whole United States. Come on and give God praise.
Throughout the world, but mostly here at home, I've never experienced what I experienced in Jacksonville yesterday. I have experienced pepper spray, but never tear gas. I was at the initial protest, went home. When I heard my people were being attacked with tear gas and a cop had fired shots in the air, I had to return. As the tear gas came and my breathing hurt, I thought to myself, this is nothing. What of those whose hearts are stopped by police terror in broad daylight? It made me more determined than ever to keep up the fight. I tell you, I'm on the people's side against oppression and injustice for true liberty. When they fear us is when we can be free. What happened yesterday throughout the nation and the world was not a riot, was not a civil war, was not even really a protest. We must call it for what it was, a revolution.
My name is John Regan. I'm the city manager. I just want to thank everybody for coming out. I want to thank our police force for making sure everyone can be heard in a safe environment. I want you to know that Mayor Upchurch and myself and all of our force are here listening very carefully and looking to find the next level as a small city to do our part to change the way that our culture has gone in America. So again, thank you so much.
Justice, with its many definitions, the one that seems more logical for the situations happening now is the maintenance or administration of what is just by law as by judicial or other proceedings. In my endless efforts to see justice, how justice was extended to George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, say their names, and many other black and brown people, there has been none as of yet. They were betrayed by people that swore to protect and serve them. As we gather today in unity with our brothers and sisters who are marching all around this world, letting them know St. Augustine is watching. We are alive. But justice starts from one person and it leads to the next person. So just because justice right now is offending black and brown people does not mean that the victimizer is going to stop with just the black and brown people. So if we nip this injustice in the bud right now, I believe we can have a better, safe community that we can be proud of, that our children can grow up in and live in peace and harmony. And with that,
I wanted to put together some words that would have you all thinking after you left here, give you a good takeaway, something that would encourage you, give you momentum, have a good emotional takeaway. But honestly, I don't have any words. I'm all out of words. I've given enough speeches. I've led enough of these marches. I've been a part of enough of these protests. So I don't have any more words. I'm really just about the action at this point. It's time for us to vote. It's time for us to start pulling out our pens and our paper and writing to our legislators.
That's right.
Lobbying on Tallahassee.
That's right.
Lobbying on Capitol Hill. Showing the people that have lost their lives that we actually do care, that it's not just about a poster board. It's not just about a blowhorn. It's not just about a caravan around the city. It's not just about that. It's about some real changed behavior.
That's it.
Somebody said, why are you guys doing this in St. Augustine? We haven't had any police brutality here in a while. But it's not about what's going on in St. Augustine. It's not about what's going on in Jacksonville. It's not even about what's going on in Minnesota. It's about what's going on throughout the nation.
That's right.
To stand up for those who don't have a voice. To stand up for those who need somebody to protect them. Then they feel voiceless. It's our job. It's our responsibility as citizens to do what we are capable of doing, which is marching on Washington, marching in Tallahassee, actually going to these legislators and saying enough is absolutely enough. As a mother of a young black man, my son is 15 years old. He's a young man. He came to me the other day, I said in our live feed, if anybody watched it the other day, asking me about protecting himself against people who are sworn to protect and serve him. That infuriated me. That my son, who used to love the police officers, I would laugh because he would run up to people in uniform when he was a little boy. He would run to them and now he backs away. Now he turns his face away and he even says, Mom, do you think they're a good cop? Mom, do you think that's a bad police? For my child to even have to inquire with me about something like that infuriates me. It makes me angry. And I am angry. I don't know who else is angry here today, but I am one of them. I'm angry. Whatever it is that we have to do, if you all are going to stand behind me, I urge you, I charge you today. When you leave here, don't leave here with your sign. Don't leave here feeling empowered, but don't do anything with that. Go home and figure out a plan. Go to the leaders of your community. Start an accountability group in your area where you can hold the police accountable for the things that they do. It's our job. It's clear that nobody is going to do it for us. Nobody's coming to save us. We're out here by ourselves. So it's our job, it's our responsibility, and I charge you. I want to show you my sign. This was intentional. I did this in red because the blood of these people whose names are on this sign are on your hands. The blood of the people whose names are on this sign are on my hands. It's my responsibility, it's our responsibility to change the narrative for real and make a difference. That's all I got. Y'all
your elected officials. I'm proud to be here, and I'm also sad to be here, because St. Augustine has known racism since the first time a colonizer stepped off the ship and came and shed blood in this river. We're standing in front of a Confederate monument, home to show everybody how important it is that whites are better than blacks. I don't think that's true. Do you? No! We came from the same church that Dr. King came. We walked on the same road, saying the same my son can wake up and he can do whatever he wants. Nicole's son doesn't get that same privilege. We don't know if he gets to come home at night. We don't know if he gets to play in the park with a water gun without getting shot. White people, we need to get it together. We have to put our bodies on the line. We have to put ourselves on the line. And we have to speak up. All of us can be a part of this world. There's enough room for everyone. Whether you're black, brown, gay, straight, whatever you want to be, there is room for you here. Okay? Now, if you are able to, if your body allows you to, please take a knee with us. We'd like to say their names, starting with George Floyd. George Floyd. Starting with Michelle O'Connell. Michelle O'Connell. Christian Cooper. Christian Cooper. Ahmaud Arbery. Ahmaud Arbery. Sean Botham. Sean Botham. Renisha McBride. Renisha McBride. Stephen Clark. Stephen Clark. Jordan, let's take a moment of silence for them with a fist up, please. I can't breathe. 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 But one day we will all be able to breathe.
Say to America is be true to what you said on paper. If I lived in China or even Russia or any totalitarian country, maybe I could understand some of these illegal injunctions. Maybe I could understand the denial of certain basic First Amendment privileges because they haven't committed themselves to that over there. But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right. And so just as I say we aren't going to let any dogs or water hoses turn us around, we aren't going to let any injunction turn us around. Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now because I've been to the mountaintop. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.